looking for a job for a full year. And I guess for me, I already learned that when I was in Japan. Being a little bit darker skin has its own connotations, different expectations than if you're a visitor.
Meet Adi, a software engineer and entrepreneur. Born in India, raised in Canada, he decided to move to Japan and spend there some years, and later to Taiwan, following his wife, who had already a good job offer here, while he arrived with no job. However, using a special Taiwan visa he received just within a couple of weeks. Instead of continuing to search for a job, he ended up launching not just one, but multiple startups. And in this video, he shares how he started a new chapter in Taiwan, along with his hobbies in Taiwan, favorite food in Taiwan, thoughts on the local community here in Taiwan. Welcome to Taiwan. My name is Igor Trishkin. Let's dive into the video and meet Adi. Tell who you are and what's your background.
Yeah, sure. My name is Adi. I'm from Canada. I grew up there. I am a mechatronic engineer, but I've been a program manager for a little while. And here in Taiwan, I have my own startup that I'm trying to grow and see what happens.
Cool, but startup, you say, it's located in Taiwan?
Yeah, we started it here. Technically, it's a Canadian company from legal purposes and everything, but it's the business is in Taiwan. The customers are in Taiwan. My co-founder is in Taiwan. Everything like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And what this startup is doing? What is actually the purpose of startup?
Yeah, it's business intelligence. So it's working with small, medium businesses. So anything that's under probably 400,000 NTD per month, anything that's under 100 customers a day kind of region. And we try and provide the business details about what they do, about how they grow the business, how to work with their customers, what their customers want or don't want, what types of product streams, whatever the business might have, is actually working and how to promote that to make it go further.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The interview went very unexpectedly to the main topic,
yeah.
But I like it. And the customers is right now at this moment of the life of your startup, the customers is mainly located in Taiwan, or you also working for abroad?
Abroad. So our main target area is Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the Philippines. At least for this year. And so we have a few in Taiwan, a few in Japan, one in South Korea.
You said what you're coming from Canada, originally from Canada. So have you lived anywhere else beside Taiwan?
Yeah, I lived in Japan for a little while, for 2 years over COVID. Again, the reason I moved to all these places is because my wife is amazing and she works at international schools where she teaches in Canadian international schools at different parts of the world. So she's lived in a bunch of really cool places. So I just tag along and do my own thing when I'm there.
Did you move anywhere else, or it was only Japan and then to Taiwan?
So we kind of do this thing of I met my wife 6 years ago in 2019.
This is the best year of your life.
Exactly. But when I met her, she was living in China. I was doing my master's in Canada.
Wow.
So I finished that, and then we moved directly to Japan, pretty much. A little bit of time here and there, but moved to Japan, lived there for a couple of years, and then we moved back to Canada, but a different part of Canada that I've never been to.
Which one?
Montreal, so
Montreal.
the east side.
So it's like Montreal, if I remember correctly, it's more like French side?
It's the French side. It's the French province.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd never been there. I'd never worked there, but I found a really cool job there. So worked there for a couple of years. And then after that, we kind of go on this cycle of 2 years where every 2 years we try and find a new place to live.
Amazing.
And so she picked Japan. So I picked Montreal, which, for the interview I hated.
You hate what, Montreal or Japan?
Montreal.
Okay.
It was a bad time for both my wife and I. The job was really cool, but the actual city we hated. And then after that, she picked Taiwan, so we're here. We'll be here for 2 or so years, and then after that, we'll find something new.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so to summarize, you were finishing the masters in Canada.
Yeah.
Your future-wise at that moment were living and working in China mainland, I guess.
2019 or in 2020 when COVID happened, she actually had to leave China.
Yeah.
So she came and lived with me
Okay.
at that time.
But you met already. You met when she was living in China.
Yeah, exactly.
Then COVID happened.
Yeah.
You both moved or came back, or she came back to Canada.
Yeah.
So you stayed for about 2 years in Canada.
Yeah.
Then from Canada, you decided to move from Canada, Montreal.
Yeah.
You moved to Japan.
Yeah.
In Japan, which cities? Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then you lived 2 years in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So you were working remote.
I was working remotely for a Canadian company. Yeah.
Yeah, they were working
Yeah.
remotely. She was working as a teacher in the Canadian school, and then you decided to move to Taiwan.
Yeah. We moved to Montreal after that.
Okay, again to Montreal.
Yeah.
So it was Canada, Japan, Canada.
Yeah.
And then Canada,
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Okay. It's actually very super unique experience. Very interesting. So really have very wide scope or experience to compare.
Yeah.
It also would be quite interesting to speak to your wife, also comparing like China mainland.
Yeah.
But did you live in China mainland?
No, I've never been there.
And why Canada? Why Taiwan?
There's a Canadian international school,
Yeah.
and it was a cool place. We had a few different options. So one was Colombia, one was Egypt, and one was here, like hiring for what she
Egypt.
teaches. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so, to be honest, Taiwan paid the most. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And how was the relocation process? I mean,
yeah.
let's concentrate on you right now. So how
Yeah.
was the relocation process? Was it like easy, challenging?
Yeah. So my actual part was really easy. Like I got my gold card, I think 10 days after I applied for it. I didn't have to worry about any like other visas or providing too many documents or like having to deal with anyone too much. Like I basically applied 10 days later. I got a form saying, take this, go to the immigration at Taiwan, you'll get your gold card. So that was pretty easy.
What is the gold card?
It's the visa program on which I came to Taiwan.
So it's something for
it's
high experienced
something like
professionals or some.
Yeah, it's like I guess for other countries it would be called like a open work permit maybe, because I can technically work anywhere
So
as long as
you not stick to company or your employer.
Exactly. So I don't have to worry about anything like that. It's just based on I'm an experienced professional in the tech industry, so they have different types. I think like education has one, probably filmmaking has one, if I remember correctly. There's a few categories. It's a really cool program.
So and you said it was quite quick. So
Yeah.
about 10 days you
Yeah.
applied. In 10 days it was already more or less approved.
More or less approved.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just had to come into the country at some point, and then my visa would officially start.
I should say what it was really fast. I have a
Yeah.
friend here
Yeah.
in Taiwan
Yeah.
who applied recently. He got his gold visa,
Yeah.
also based on his IT background
Yeah.
and his salary, I think. But he was waiting for all the processes of reviewing. It took him 40 days.
Wow.
So
yeah.
10 days seems
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah.
Okay. And for which area exactly did you apply? So as
yeah.
an IT professional or?
I come from a semiconductor and R&D background. So that I think there was a specific category that was like sensors, semiconductors, and something else. And so that's where I applied.
So looks like semiconductors are the high demand here.
Yeah. There's one or two companies, you know.
Very popular one, like, or like very small one, like nobody knows about them.
Yeah.
Okay, you told me behind the camera what you actually were moving to Taiwan, not already having your startups. So you were considering searching for a job here.
Yeah.
Can you tell more about that?
Yeah. I left Canada with the intention to start a company, but I obviously money is important, and being able to live your life is.
If you like to eat,
if
it's
you
quite
like to
important.
eat, it is good. Thankfully, like my wife can support me. Like we got our apartment paid for. She gets paid reasonably well. That we're both
Awesome
well
wife.
supported. Yeah, yeah, she really is. But the intention was for me to start a company, but I was also in parallel looking for jobs. Trying to apply to anything that made sense based on my profile. And I gotta say, if you don't come here with a job in hand, it's really hard to find a job,
especially if you don't know the language.
especially if you don't know Chinese. makes it difficult. It takes down your options. I also think that in general, there's a lot of maybe the right word is nationalism. Like people tend to hire people who are from Taiwan because they fit in better with the culture. They understand how the work flows go, and I think that's a lot of what happens. And having tried to search for a job for a couple months, I found lots of people who kind of fit into this mold. I've had a friend who's been looking for a job for a full year and he still hasn't been successful in it. I think just even getting basic interviews is a really hard thing to do at the moment. I've heard a few times it's because the market is kind of going down. So generally, they're trying to support people who are from Taiwan. There could be any reasons, but it is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very good insight
Yeah.
for people who maybe search for work. But I also want to say, there's a quite, if you compare countries in LinkedIn for open jobs, for example, I don't know, you compare Singapore, Dubai, Taipei, Taiwan, you can see what, like, I don't know, in Dubai, there's a new opening in the IT job, some product owner, product manager, or whatever, and there's like 1,000 applicants.
Yeah.
In Singapore, maybe a bit less, but there's like job opened, and by the end of the day, there's a 50 applicants.
Yeah.
Here in Taipei, I see jobs which like it's open, and after 1 week you see 10 applicants in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Definitely they're applying also from the different platforms.
I think that's the thing, right? Like most people internally would apply from 104 or 1111.
It's local websites.
Yeah, more websites for finding jobs. Yeah.
But also what I want to say, like it's still, I think, by already having quite experience working, living in Taiwan, especially some local or even international companies, they a bit can struggle to speak in English.
Yeah.
And of course, they will prefer, if to hire someone, they will prefer a person who speaks Chinese, even some level. I mean, it's in any country,
Of
but
course.
probably
It makes
any,
sense. Yeah.
And after we moving to Taiwan, so did you have any, something what you were expecting, and after moving to Taiwan, it was totally different?
Yeah. To be honest, I guess coming from the experience that I lived in Japan, it's very similar to Japan. You don't really, the language is different, the culture is different, but the people are very similar in the sense.
Culture difference between you
Like-
comparing Taiwan and Japan or Taiwan and Canada?
Taiwan and Japan.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't really see that. There's a lot of Japanese influence, but the people are very similar in that sense. You don't have to worry about how they're going to react to a particular situation, because I guess for me, I already learned that when I was in Japan. I knew like how society works. I will say it's a little less rigid than Japan. Japan is, there's a lot of aspects of like social structure that you have to follow what everyone else is doing. It's a little bit more open here for sure, but the way that people interact, the way that people talk, or like how you interact in a shop or when you're buying something, it's all the same.
It's all the same between Taiwan and Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And if you would compare Taiwan and Canada?
There's so many changes. I mean, like, you don't have the same kind of environments around. Like, Canada is not really as walkable per se as Taiwan is. Like, I won't be able to walk out my door, go to a 7-Eleven, get a full meal for myself.
7-Eleven. Do you have a 7-Eleven in Canada?
Yeah, we have 7-Elevens,
Okay.
but they're not as nice. Yeah.
I mean, for us, for me, after moving to Taiwan, it was at any time of the day, night, any day, it's typhoon, earthquake, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's always working 7-Eleven, and it's just beside any corner. And after moving from Europe, like in some countries, like on the weekend after 7 o'clock, you cannot buy anything.
Yeah.
You have just petrol station which sells maybe some snacks.
Yeah.
You cannot buy food. And here, anytime. After moving here, like I think in the first year, it's not only 7-Eleven reason, I gained 10 kilos. You can find the food in any
Anywhere.
time, in any place, anywhere.
And it's always delicious, so it doesn't matter. And especially like the street food here is really nice. Like when we lived in Canada, you don't really have the same kind of street food aspect. Like I won't be able to walk around and find stalls where I can buy something or another at pretty much any point in the day. Maybe in the big cities in very small locations, but from the cities I'm from, I won't say I'll ever find it. And yeah, it's very different. It's very interesting, and it's very fun. Plus, like, I love living in the mountains. I used to live in the mountains, so it was nice to come back and see mountains everywhere
Yeah,
again.
it's very, very nice
Yeah.
here. And in Taipei, Taipei is kind of surrounded by mountains. I mean, maybe
Exactly.
from city center you don't see it.
Yeah.
But just like 10 minutes on any side, and you
You can
already
see
see
it,
very,
yeah.
very nice nature. Even here, I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
how it
it's
will
very
be
cool.
looked, but
Yeah.
here we are surrounded right now
Ex-
by mountains.
Exactly. I mean, even where I live I live on a mountain, right? So it's nice.
Pretty windy place, actually.
Yeah, it's nice.
And what do you think? What do you find the best thing about Taiwan? I mean, you already
Yeah.
gave some, let's say, nature, mountains,
Yeah.
people different. But what you would say, if to summarize, what is the best about Taiwan?
Oh, I mean, I think that depends on what you want. I really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy high density urban environments, and like for me, Taipei is really nice. I like being able to go around and like find cafes, find restaurants, find places to hang out and meet people, and that's really neat. And it's fun. That it's not something that I can find everywhere. The mountains are really nice. I can't say I like the weather. I come from a place that's cold, and I appreciate the cold.
Yeah.
And I haven't been cold yet in Taiwan.
We're just
I-
sweating literally right
like,
now.
like right now, yeah,
process.
actively sweating. But yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool people. It's also a really neat mix of Asian cultures and Western cultures that it's hard to place. Like you can't say what it's like, but when you see it, you can recognize it, and that's really interesting.
They're actually coming to a very interesting question. How do you feel about the international community here in Taiwan?
Yeah.
Do you have or did you meet a lot of the Canadians or like the people if you hang out? So
Yeah.
how do you think the international community in Taiwan, particularly in Taipei?
Yeah. I guess like I don't come to Taipei all too often. I live in outskirts of New Taipei.
We will put map here, so you'll see
Yeah.
Taipei, and here will be Linkou. Yeah, Linkou.
It's a little far. It takes me like an hour and a half to get into the city. But I'll talk about the few different groups that I know. So like in Linkou, where I live and my wife works, we have the Canadian International School and the community that's over there. So all the other teachers who are
I guess
Canadian
parents also.
or like at least American, and they're they have their experiences, they have their kind of culture that they bring in, and that's a lot of fun. And it's nice that I get to meet people who their culture, their way of thinking, the way that they live, I understand. I'm able to communicate with them. It's easy. Obviously, I didn't come here fully knowing Chinese. I'm working on it, but not there yet.
So you're learning Chinese?
Trying to. I mean, not very hard. It's Duolingo and a notebook kind of thing. So
I should say that there will be no moment now when we were switching to Chinese and trying
Yeah.
to say something
in
Chinese.
3, 2, 1.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
How long do you live in Taiwan?
I've been here for almost 6 months.
For 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit more than that,
Yeah.
and I should say even it's definitely challenging here
Yeah.
to live without Chinese, but
Yeah.
it's still manageable.
Yeah.
So still, people so kind, people so helpful. Like they are not annoyed what you don't. I have 2 countries to which I can compare.
Yeah.
People are not annoyed what you don't speak Chinese, and
Yeah.
if you are telling them, okay, how long do you live here? Saying like, oh, it's 2+ years.
Yeah.
People are not like, oh, well, you need to speak the local language or go away. No.
Yeah.
So even you don't speak Chinese, like if you speak English or you have a Google Translate, you can quite easily
You
communicate
can navigate
here.
really easily. I think a lot of Asia is like that. Like even in Japan, I think Japan's a little bit different per se. Like if you live there, there's different expectations than if you're a visitor. But still, like we got around with basic Japanese and Google Translate pretty much everywhere we needed to. It was it makes Asia is pretty good in that sense.
So if any friend will come to visit you from, I don't know, Canada, Japan, or anywhere else, so first
Yeah.
time in Taiwan,
Yeah.
where you will bring him? or
So,
her?
we haven't been too many places in Taiwan yet, but the only place that I know really well that I think people should see is Jifuan.
But you've been there in
Yeah,
Jifuan.
we've been to, for the people at home, it's like Spirited Away from Studio Ghibli. That's where it's based off of. It's beautiful mountains, lanterns that are that they light up in the evenings, tea houses, everything like that. It's
Same like in the cartoon.
same like in the cartoon. It looks exactly
Who,
like
who,
that.
who doesn't know how
Yeah.
cartoons
Yeah.
here
Here.
okay.
But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. You can see the ocean. You can see. You can go to the other side, look down the coast of Taiwan a little bit. Just a beautiful view overall, and a nice place to be.
How do you feel if, for example, comparing Japan and Taiwan? Do you feel what it's here same, less, or more, or it's
Yeah.
easier to make friends or find the connections or business connections?
I think there's a lot more opportunity to connect with the international community here. I guess it might also depend on what international community you're looking for. I think like the American international community has a really strong presence. I think the Canadian one does too. At least I keep seeming to bump into them everywhere that I go, which I don't expect to. Like I didn't know that Taiwan was on the map for Canada. Like when I talked to my friends, they kept mistaking it for Thailand.
Yeah,
So I was just
that
like,
happens.
yeah. So I didn't expect as many Canadians here as I did, but like clearly there are some. The dragon boat was introduced to me by a Canadian friend. People who I met. So the Gold Card program has a community that's built around it through like some of the members of the network. There's a bunch of Canadians in there, which I also did not expect. And then yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I'm not super connected with the international community because I think if I lived in Taipei and I came to Taipei every day or something like that, I would probably be a little bit more there. But I come in like once every 2 or 3 weeks to do something or another, except for the weekends when I come in. But then I go straight back home because yeah.
Except today.
Except today.
Thank you,
Yeah.
by the way.
No, it's all good.
Cool. And coming a couple of questions back, we were discussing and comparing about living in Canada, Japan, Taiwan.
Yeah.
What you would say after living for some quite years in Canada? So you lived in Canada for full your life.
Yeah, I pretty much grew up there.
So after living the full life in Canada, what you would say Canada can take or learn from Taiwan, and what Taiwan should, can, or has opportunity to learn or take from Canada, for example?
For sure. I will say the thing that I miss about Canada is the way that people drive. In Taiwan, people drive crazy. I've seen so many times where if I was driving, I would just be like, that's enough of driving for me. And I would stand outside of my car. So I think maybe like the driving levels would be something that Taiwan can take from Canada.
Yeah.
I think for Canada itself, there's a lot that I could say that they could learn from Taiwan in terms of like how structured the communities are built. But there's also like a lot of differences between the way that Canada is structured and the way that Taiwan is structured. Taiwan is very densely populated. Canada is so huge, but not too much of a population. Like I think Taiwan has twice the population of Canada, but it's like a tiny little island.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting like that.
Yeah, but regarding the driving, it also took me some. I'm driving a car here.
Yeah.
It also took me some time, and also for my wife.
Yeah.
What it's very different driving style here, and it's at the beginning. I would say first weeks, if you're driving, it seems like super chaotic. I will never forget my first trip by car from Taipei to Kaohsiung.
Yeah.
Especially after coming from Europe. In Europe, you know what left line is for acceleration, left line is for overtaking.
Yeah.
Here in Taiwan, every line for overtaking.
Yeah.
Left, right, middle, above, under, it's overtaking.
And also the scooters everywhere, like not something that I'm used to, at least driving around. Like there are a couple motorbikes in Canada, but it's not like they're fast, first of all. Not compared to the 30 kilometer per hour kind of thing.
But on the highways, the scooter, in any kind of motorbikes on highways were forbidden. But what I wanted to say was, after a couple of weeks, you get used to the pace.
Yeah.
Driving in Taiwan has own pace, and if you're driving within this pace, not super accelerating, not super braking, just in their own let's say middle level, middle speed pace,
Yeah.
it's super comfortable,
Okay.
super nice. So
Good.
you just need some time to get used to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we currently now in a very interesting location where we came today to meet with you,
Yeah.
where you're doing your hobby.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell a bit more about your hobby.
So I do dragon boating.
You
if
do boating with dragons?
with dragons. Put some images up here, animation, everything. I'll leave that to you. But it's a very popular hobby in Asia. I think it probably originated in China or like in this region somewhere. There's a festival coming up in a few weeks where we race in the different regions. So like New Taipei City has its own, Taipei has its own. I'm sure through the rest of Taiwan they have their own races. So we're going to be racing against a bunch of other teams. But so it's going to be a whole lot of fun and I'm looking forward to it.
But is it this the festival that you're calling? It's a dragon festival which happens on 30th of May.
Yes.
And is it the purpose of the festival for these dragon boats,
for
or
dragon boating.
purpose is different?
No, it's for the dragon boat.
Okay.
That's what it's for. There's tons of teams here. I think you have some videos now. You can show what it looks like.
Press here.
Yeah, people come here, they train, and we're all going to be racing later on. So it'll be a good time.
But is it happening here?
Yeah, I mean, like you can, maybe the drone can see it, but the boats are right there. That's where we train. We kind of go around the bend, and it's a popular area, partially because it's so stunning, and partially I think it's just a good, nice bit of water on which we can go about.
Okay. So
But
the training and competition happens exactly in this location?
training happens here. Competition this year is going to be somewhere on like the west side of Taipei.
West side of Taipei. It's also interesting for me, so most probably video will be released before 30th of May.
Yeah.
So I'll post the link or location
Sure.
where you can say it.
Yeah.
And how you started this? Why you decided to start this hobby? Is it started in
Yeah.
Taiwan, or it was already in Japan or in Canada?
No, I mean, when I was in university in Canada, I used to row. Completely different sport, but like on the water, I love being on the water. It's such a magical feeling, and rowing is something that I've always wanted to come back to. So it's not rowing is not a popular sport everywhere. In Europe, in North America, it is, but it's not here. But my wife's colleague actually introduced me to this team and to this sport. The team needed more people for the dragon boat race, so they're like, we just need bodies. So here I am, another body.
It's more or less anyone who has some sport preparation or some physical capabilities, they can do it.
Yeah,
so it's not something exclusive for some professionals.
No. It's anyone who can do it. Like pretty much anyone's welcome to do it. You just might find it a little bit harder if you don't have a little bit of an athletic ability, but it's for anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you lived in Canada, you lived in Japan, now you're living in Taiwan. I have a weird joke. I think it was. I already do it. I was like, I think it looks like you are not from Canada.
No,
so
fair enough.
You lived in Canada, you lived in Japan, now you're living in Taiwan.
Yeah.
So, but you originally not from Canada. Where are you originally from?
So I'm from India. I was born there, but I moved out of India when I was really young. So I've never really lived in India. I've visited multiple times. My grandparents live there. I have so much family there. But yeah, it's Canada is my home. It's the place that I know best.
Okay.
And yeah.
Just out of my curiosity, from which part of India you are? So I think there's a different regions.
Yeah. I'm from a city called Bangalore. It's in the
Bangalore,
southern.
I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the southern part of India.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're moving to Japan or to Taiwan, how do you feel? Do you feel that society accepted you, or maybe you had some, let's say, interesting situations there?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you approach monoethnic cultures, Japan is one. Most of the people in Japan are from Japanese descent. Most of the people in Taiwan are like Taiwanese, Chinese, like that kind of.
Not like USA where everyone together and nobody understands who is who.
Exactly, and so you're bound to have a little bit of a change in how people see you, how people approach you, and all those kind of things. In Japan, it was always a little bit different, especially because we were there over COVID. What that meant was generally people didn't expect to see foreigners, and I was visibly foreign. So it was people stared at me a lot. People were generally really nice, but you do get stared at a lot. You get talked about, especially once you start understanding the language. You get talked about a lot. Being a little bit darker skin has its own like connotations in a lot of these cultures. So you do face a lot of different challenges, but it's not anything that's going to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. It's pretty much the same as anywhere else. You just need to show that you're part of the community, and everything will be okay.
But I mean, you're not regretting moving to Japan. You didn't feel any discomfort, like obviously, like you see what the people somehow reacting to you, but like it doesn't cause any troubles or issues.
It's fine. I mean, like I think it happens all around the world. And if you come from an area where there's a lot of like mix of cultures, it might not be so hard for you to understand that like different cultures are there. But if you come from a region of the world where it's just like only one type of people, then obviously you're going to stare at someone who looks a little bit different.
That's
For
sure.
I think that's natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is it in Taiwan? Comparing to Japan, for example?
Yeah, honestly, I think after Japan, I stopped paying attention. In Japan, like I, would notice it. Now I'm just doing my own thing. I don't care what if other people are looking at me. It's you stop paying attention to it after a while. Yeah.
I mean, like here in Taiwan, I think I don't think what they will put it into the answer, but I think here in Taiwan, they quite about funniest moment, which I wanted to mention. When I was going to Taiwan, I read about Chinese culture and so I had friends who lived in China mainland, and they told me, when you will come to Taiwan, most probably will have a lot of attention, especially as you have bird. Like in Asians, they don't in China and Taiwan.
They
China,
can't grow hair.
They don't have it so much.
Yeah.
And I was coming here, I was like, I will receive so much attention. Most probably not excited about that, but like interested about that. And I came here, and I remember MRT. I'm like, especially I came in 2022. It was still post-COVID time. Very few foreigners here.
Yeah.
And nobody give a shit. Like nobody looking at me. Just sometimes. Where are you from? Are you English teacher from America? No, I'm Lithuanian from Lithuania. I'm working for IT. About your startup.
Yes.
And what we spoke in the back end of the recording.
Yes.
What I remember what you were saying about another startup in Italy.
Yes.
And now you say about startup in Taiwan.
Yes.
So maybe you can somehow give more details how to separate it.
Okay. So there's one company based out of Italy that we're hoping to make into an energy startup. Basically being able to build software and tooling for energy companies to be able to sell their electricity more efficiently. Whether you're a battery, whether you're wind power, whatever type of electricity you have, there's a lot of space for people to be able to sell that energy or recoup costs in a smart way. I can go into more details, but there's a ton of markets in which you sell energy day by day or minute by minute.
Exceeding electricity.
Yeah. But then like in Taiwan, it's just a grid. There's one national operator. They buy energy from a few different producers like wind energy or tidal energy, however else they produce it. And there's only one grid operator. They have contracts that go 20, 25 years or something like that. And that's how it works here, but it doesn't work that way everywhere else. So for those regions where it's a market, like a stock exchange almost, we help them trade it a little bit more efficiently.
So you're giving them actually interface or some system where they have possibility to sell it or to buy.
And we're making it automatic so that you don't have to, like the person doesn't have to sit there and press sell or buy. They just tell the software, hey, this is how I want to sell it. And the software does that in a more smart way.
What is your role in both of the startups? I understood you co-founder, but are you responsible more for technical side, for business side, for engineering? Do you have any separation?
So in the Taiwan one, I'm definitely more on the technical side and building up, or taking the information that customers provide us and being able to turn that into actual features or functionality of the app. In the one from Italy, again, I'm more on the technical side, but I have a lot more experience in working with the business development of that part of the business. So I can spend a lot more time talking to actual companies and asking them, hey, this is how I'm planning on selling it. This is the product that I have. This is what the features that I provide. Do you guys want to buy it? Do you want to use it? I think it'll work really well for you. Yeah.
What is your most favorite food in Taiwan? Or
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a vegetarian, so
But it actually should be good. I
there-
have vegetarian friends, and they
there's a
said,
lot of like vegetarian available foods, which is good. We haven't really had a chance to explore too much yet, but I really like xiaolong baos, like the buns that are filled with something or another. Specifically, the sesame buns or the red bean buns
yeah.
are amazing, and I love them. There's also like mixtures of like mushrooms or something or another. They're great. Same with soup dumplings. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can't get enough. So yeah, those are my favorites. Pretty much anything that's in dumpling or containerized form, love it. Yeah.
So for vegetarian, the Taiwan is a good place. You
Yeah.
easy to find here, because I have a friend who moved to Argentina. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, and he said like first, I mean, definitely you can
Yeah.
everywhere find it. It's
Yeah.
not something unique, but he said in Argentina it was quite complicated to find.
I'm sure. Yeah, Japan wasn't too easy either. We struggled a lot over there, but here, like, worst case, I can always find something at 7-Eleven, but generally any restaurant we go to, there is something that I can eat, which isn't just plain rice, which is nice.
Are you also not eating fish? As I
No
understand?
fish either, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood. Are you cooking here in Taiwan at home?
Yeah. I cook a lot. Yeah, pretty much every dinner I make at home. Yeah.
So you have two startups. Do you
Yeah.
want to mention their names? So maybe
Yeah.
someone will be interested, and maybe someone will want to get in contact with you regarding them.
Sure. One of them we don't have a proper name yet, so we'll come up with it later.
The Italian one, I guess.
The
yeah?
Italian
Yeah.
one. You can just reach out to me directly.
Yes.
Or
Here's in the under the description you will find the contact details of
Yeah.
Adi if
Yeah.
you will be willing to,
yeah,
to
of
share
course,
them.
of course. And then the other one is called Metri, because we work with a lot of information. So Metri measurement, that's kind of where it came.
Now I want to concentrate more about Taiwan, work in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
So for Italian startup, you're working fully remotely.
Yeah.
So nothing connects you to Taiwan. You're just
Yeah.
located here. For the second one, do you have any operations or business here in Taiwan?
Yeah, I mean, like we work with Taiwanese businesses. I don't have an office for me. I just work from home because that's the way I wanted to structure my company.
Yep.
We do have an office space because we have some interns. They need some office spaces. My coworker, or my co-founder rather, he lives in Tokyo. So he has an office space in Tokyo from which he operates from. And yeah.
So office spaces, physical spaces located only in Tokyo, and there's no in Taiwan.
There is one in Taipei.
In Taipei for
the
interns. Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
And what is your findings after 6 months you're here?
Yeah.
After doing business in Taiwan?
Yeah.
How is it?
I think business is a challenge no matter where you do it. We are having good response from the customers that we're working with. They like what we are trying to do. I think the issue with Taiwan is that there's a lot of really technically advanced people, but there's not a lot of software that's catering to this market. So that's why we're trying to, fix that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about the relationship between you and your customers? Is it like you have your experience working in any kind in Canada?
Yeah.
You have your experience working. Have you had any work in Tokyo, or it was only remote work?
No, it was only remote.
Only remote
Yeah.
work. Okay, but you have experience of working remotely from in Tokyo, so
Yeah.
you have communicated with. So we're working here in business in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Any specifics, any differences comparing to Canada?
Yeah. I mean,
Cultural maybe differences.
I think the culture is very different. One of the biggest differences that I find from North America, probably Europe, and Asia is that in Taiwan and somewhat in Japan, people don't like saying no to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you face this a lot too. They don't say no. They either say, oh, maybe we'll check it out, or they'll find like every roundabout way to say no without saying no.
Do you have entity in Taiwan?
No,
Legal
we registered in Canada just because it's easier with me as a foreign co-founder. If we were going to go through that process here in Taiwan, it's a 4-month process. we needed to get started right away, just for our business reasons. So it was easier for me to start in Taiwan, or in Canada rather, have everything started over there, and then bring it over here. So now we have, we're going to register as a branch here, and then eventually we'll become an entity. But that's for later. We don't have to have it right away.
I have very last question.
Sure.
We'll see. Maybe it will be a traditional question because the channel is aimed to expats who is living abroad, who is traveling, open to the world mind, to share experience, to share their way, how they came to this place, to this country, and what is we looking forward. And what is the forward? If you would need to move now to the next country, do you have anything on your mind where you would like to move?
Ooh, good question. We've been thinking about it. I think I mentioned earlier, we have like a 2-year cycle of where we work and stay. My wife has never really been to Europe. She's, she's visited Greece. We went to Sweden and Finland last summer for like 2 weeks. But to actually, our kind of, I guess, thesis is that to actually explore a culture and live in that culture, you need to live in that place where the culture exists. And so she hasn't explored the European culture too much. So we were thinking like going somewhere that makes sense for both of us, somewhere where she can work, where I can work, and try it out.